I made a video a little while ago about quitting my job, and it exploded. I was not expecting that. This is obviously a topic that a lot of people are interested in. And at the time I was concerned about the amount of content that I was seeing on YouTube of people telling you to just quit, to quit your job and follow your dreams without really knowing who that advice was going to, because the vast majority of us have got responsibilities and bills to pay for, and we can't just quit. And there's no context in these videos. Under what context is it okay to quit? And so I wanted to, in that video, share my own experience of having prematurely quit a cushy sales job. And that experience, or me reflecting on that experience, was apparently very useful for a lot of people. But I've been keeping an eye on the comments, and there's a lot of stuff that came out of that, and particularly around clarifying when it is okay to quit a job, because I spoke in that video about when it's not okay, or when you probably shouldn't quit the job based on my own experience. But there are circumstances under which it might be all right to quit. And hopefully this video serves as some kind of guidance in some way, that if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about quitting your job, how you might go about doing that to give yourself the best chance of success. And really the first thing to consider, and the reason why all of us go to work in the first place, is your finances. I think before you begin any of this, if you don't have a clear idea of exactly what is coming in and going out of your bank, then you need to get crystal clear on that. You need to understand exactly what you're spending. And I would go through your finances with a fine tooth comb, because I did this once, and I put down all my monthly expenses, all my direct debits, what I estimated my food shop was going to come to, all those kinds of things. But then there were all sorts of little expenses that I wasn't counting. There was things like grabbing a coffee every morning. There was my contact lenses. There was days out or going to the cinema and stuff like that. All of these things I didn't factor in. And so there was probably another £200 or £300 worth of expenses per month that I hadn't factored in. So if you haven't already got crystal clear on exactly what is coming in and out of your account, then that should be the first thing you do before you consider quitting a job. The second thing is really making sure that you have enough money. I would always advise that you have another job to go to before you quit, or you have something else that is guaranteed to replace your income, and at the very least, match what your outgoings are. You might have to take a pay cut. Let's say you're making 50 grand a year and your expenses are £30,000 a year, then you can afford to take a 20 grand pay cut. And if that means that you get to be happier in your work, or you pursue something that you think you're going to enjoy more, then I think that's not necessarily a bad move. But a lot of people are of this mindset that they're so fed up with work, that they're not being treated right, that their managers are treating them like shit, they feel bullied in the workplace, they feel like it's affecting their mental health maybe. And I get that, and the question is, like, at what point is it safe to quit? And all I can say from my experience, and also there was a comment that someone made on that video. It's one of the first weeks worth of comments that was really useful, and it was that there was no situation that couldn't be made worse by a lack of money. And it's true. It's a sorry state of affairs, but we all need money to survive. And at the moment, whether you're in a good job or a shit job, if it's paying your bills, you need it. And so creating some kind of exit plan is going to be a much more sensible solution. And also, if you are in a shit environment, getting to the stage where things are so bad that you just quit spontaneously it might make you feel good in that moment, but it is going to make you feel, the negative feelings that you have to do with that job are going to be replaced by the anxiety of how you're going to pay your bills. And either one of those could be just as bad as the other. So having a solid plan in place is certainly something that you need to do. And if you have a plan in place, you'll probably find that you're less worried about the environment and the situation in your job, because you have a plan to get out of it. I think sometimes when we are in a shit job and we hate where we are and the people aren't our sort of people, or maybe they're bullying us or whatever, when we feel like there's no escape from that place, that can make things so much worse when we feel trapped. And I can guarantee you, if you just started putting a plan together, you started working out what your finances are, exactly how much you need to be making every year, applying for jobs, doing interviews, all that kind of stuff. If you're doing that in the background, then the day-to-day shitness of your job is going to feel much more tolerable and manageable, because you can see that there's some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. I wanted to make this video because, yeah, there was a lot of comments and people had some valid comments about, you know, yeah, it might not be sensible to quit your job, but what if it's affecting my mental health? What if I'm being bullied in the workplace? What if all of these things? And I just wanted to address that because it's a really valid point. The other thing is as well is, can you improve your situation at work? I was listening to a podcast, and there was a guy there that run I think it was an investment company or something like that. And he said that he had I think it was a marketing manager or something like that. And this marketing manager really didn't seem to be particularly happy with their line of work. And he had a conversation with this marketing manager, and he asked him what he was doing, and the marketing manager came clean. He said, look, I'm not enjoying my work at the moment. And what he ended up doing was finding him a different position. I think he went into something like social media management or something along those lines. It may have even been something completely different, but this guy then started to thrive and he became much more useful as an employee. And so as a business, you are going to want your employees to be useful, and therefore it is worth you having a conversation as an employee with your boss about whether or not there are different avenues for you to explore if you're not happy doing specifically what you do. And obviously at the same time, if it's something to do with your colleagues, if you feel like you're getting bullied, there are options to address that, whether that's with your manager or whether it's like an external advice provider, something along those lines. But I know there are companies, Citizens Advice is a really good example in the UK, but there are people that can offer help and advice that aren't necessarily a part of your company. So it may be that you don't have to quit your job at all and that you can make your job better. But my point is that if you're stuck in a job that you hate, or it's not, if it feels even maybe dangerous to a certain extent, that there are options you can explore without getting so fed up that you just quit and put yourself under financial strain. Because one of the worst stresses for me is having bills to pay, knowing that I have thousands of pounds coming out of my account a month and I have nothing coming in. There is very little that is more stressful than that. I would rather do some terrible, monotonous job knowing that my bills are covered and dealing with the boredom or the monotony or the stress that comes with that particular job than deal with the stress that comes from not knowing where my next paycheck is going to come from. So I hope this video was useful. It seems like I am parked in a spot where a forklift needs to get, so I think I should move. You can sign up to my newsletter using the link in the description, and yeah, once again, I hope this video was super useful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.